tell us your history here at EAB. I remember, I think I worked with you on your very first project here.
Yes, you did.
So, just start off at the beginning and kind of just tell us about, your history and your career here and maybe some of the highlights, the big jobs and
Okay.
or milestones type things.
Okay. So I started at EAB in 2011. Started the same way as everyone else as a technician in training. Was working on some big projects in the medical center for MD Anderson and UT Health. Just kind of work my way up and been here for 13 years now, working as a project manager.
Yeah. So let's talk specifically about some of those projects. So I know, was the dental branch one of your first projects? I mean, that was the
Yes.
one that you and I worked together on.
Yes,
And so there were some unique challenges on that one, weren't there?
definitely. Like every major project, there's always going to be challenges. There's only so much you can control.
Hmm.
And yeah, I learned a lot. I was kind of left to finish the project after the
Yeah, that's kind of where I was
yeah
going. Is
the
the
project leader had left,
had
and
left? Yeah,
it was kind of left on me as being the most familiar person with the job, and you had to kind of step in
yeah,
and assist with your expertise and experience, and
yeah.
we
And
were able to finish the job.
you did a bang up job for having very little experience in our company and even in the industry.
Yeah,
So
it was really rewarding for me because it kind of proved to me like, hey, I have the tools here to be successful at EAB.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So when you left there, did you go work on the Exxon project? 'Cause that was
Yes,
around the same time, wasn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
that was shortly thereafter, and that was another major project. I think I was there for almost 3 years.
Yep.
There was, I think, 15 buildings total on the
Yeah, I
project.
think we did somewhere. There were 23 total, and I think EAB overall did like 18 of them.
Yeah, for
Yep.
our scope, and I mean that was the biggest project I've ever worked on in my career. I
I
mean,
still think it's one of the biggest we've done here at EAB.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
combined total.
was really remarkable to be a part of that and experience that, and just was a great learning experience for me. I think that really helped develop me as a, supervisor, leader in the company.
Yeah. After that one, where did you go?
After that, wow, you got me thinking here.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
It's been a little while. So
Because even that was almost 10 years. Well, it was about 8 years ago.
yeah, so I finished Exxon around 2015, 16, and from there I was doing K through 12 schools, some projects in College Station.
Hmm. And then most recently, you moved into doing, back into the healthcare sector, and you've been working on primarily now major projects in the healthcare realm. I mean,
Yes,
that's really what we have you tasked with
yes, I'm
overseeing
now
now.
the project manager for major projects, currently working for Houston Methodist Hospital at their new campus in Cypress.
Yep.
Got a ground up hospital going up, 2 MOBs, and a central plant.
So what do you think are some of the big challenges, especially for our scope, in especially ground up healthcare?
It's definitely challenging, especially for the healthcare market because of infection control concerns. Um, Return and exhaust can't be opened up until the building's clean.
Sure.
And you've been to a construction site, we all have, they're not clean.
Yep.
So it's very challenging getting it to a point where it's ready for return and exhaust balancing and commissioning. And it typically doesn't happen till the end.
Yeah.
So it requires a lot of coordination, thinking outside of the box, figuring out how can we get this done and still meet the schedules and deadlines for our client.
Yeah. And then on the Cypress project, we had the unique, well, it's not unique, but when you have a ground up new campus, typically we're going to have a central plant, and we've got to figure out how to get that online, but then we don't have load. Talk through that just a little bit. I mean, what's the
It,
sequence of events and some of the
it
challenges that we face with that?
it's definitely challenging, and this one is kind of a unique animal also because uh, where the campus is being built, it used to be a giant office complex.
Hmm.
So they actually kept the original central plant, kept some of the existing chillers and equipment in there. So that's definitely a new thing for me, having to bring online existing equipment, figure out what we've got, what the capacities are, along with the new equipment.
Yep.
And everything's got to function per the specifications.
Yep.
So,
Yep. No, that's great. That's great. And then you got some other big ones already in the queue coming
oh,
up after
oh
this
yes.
one. So nothing short of work ahead of us, right?
Yep.
All right. So as far as testing and balancing, an EAB, right? And you probably worked the vast majority of your career in healthcare, institutional, those types of clients. I know you did some K through 12
Laboratories,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but by and large, it's been the healthcare research space,
Hmm.
institutional type stuff, right? So for those types of clients, where do you think EAB, what do we bring to the table that's unique and you think and valuable to those clients?
Well, I think what really sets EAB apart is we're really the authorities in the industry. Um, I feel like we created the industry. If you look at EAB's history,
Yeah, you're kind of getting ahead of me there, but that's kind of that thought leadership thing, right? Yeah,
exactly. And to me, thought leadership is you're an authority in the field you're in. People look to you for guidance. You you create trust with the people you work with. I think trust is very important for
sure.
all relationships, especially working ones.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, what do you think? Is there anything that we do on those types of projects? Because obviously those are very complex. You've got to have a level of expertise. We talk about practical experience as one of those differentiators. What does that mean to you that you think EAB brings to the table?
Yeah, practical experience is definitely important. I know, all of management at EAB, we've all come up from the bottom and worked our way up. We've all been there in the field working through problems. Um, it's very valuable having, people managing the project that have made these mistakes, encountered these issues, learned from them, and can overcome them on the next one.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'll go ahead and ask you, and we'll see how close you get. If we had to totalize up all the experience here at EAB, where do you think it is?
Oh man, hundreds of years, probably over 1,000, honestly.
It is over 1,000.
Wow,
Yeah. Last I checked, it was about over 1,600 years of
wow.
experience.
Yeah,
So
that's
pretty
impressive.
incredible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to go back to thought leadership. Is there anything else in thought leadership? I mean, you kind of touched on it, but throughout the history of EAB, right? Because obviously we've been around for a really long time. And you talked about founding the industry. What does that mean to you? I mean, as being part of this company, how do you think that's formed who we are today?
Well, I think we created so many standards and practices for, how to do test and balance. And we realize, just because we're at the top of the industry doesn't mean we still can't learn and grow.
Sure.
And that's really what I admire about EAB is we're always looking to learn, grow, and train because the industry is always changing, and
Yep.
we have to change with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're not moving forward, you're falling behind, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so a couple other things, we talk about project leadership. That's one of our differentiators, right? And you kind of hit the nail on the head earlier when you talked about the capabilities of our project managers. We don't
Hmm.
hire project managers externally to the company. We develop them internally. But how do you think that specifically benefits the teams that we work on? Because there is a big difference. I mean, and
Huge difference.
people say it the way that we work with a project team. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think, a project manager at EAB, they typically have at least 10 years experience working in the field. Um, they have all the technical skills. They've progressed in their career with all the job titles. But I think really the biggest thing for a manager at EAB is working for all that time. They're able to develop relationships
Correct.
um, on their projects in the industry with clients, engineers, contractors, whoever. And that's really what sets us apart, I think.
So if you're on a big healthcare project, because that's primarily what you work on, what are some of the things that you have to do to coordinate with the project team, the construction team, that you think set EAB apart? Because there's some stuff that we do that others, they just say, "Tell me when the systems are ready," and we kind of take it a little bit further than that,
Oh
right? So
yeah.
what are some of those things that we do?
Well, we were meeting with that project team a year before the project even started, when they were still pouring, the foundation and
Sure.
stuff. And they reached out to us because they respect our expertise. They know how complex these projects are, and they really want to understand our process.
In that
Um,
particular case, we actually trained them too. So. Um,
we did do that, yeah.
Yeah. So that particular GC, I'm saying this for the benefit of whoever may listen to this down the road, but they were part of our training programs here. We helped develop a training program for their team, and so would you say that relationship on that project, we've seen fruits from that?
Oh, definitely. And they really, I appreciate the fact that they want to understand our process, really understand what ready for test and balance means,
Yeah.
because it's not just penciling something in on the calendar. It's has to be process oriented, right? There's a list of things that need to happen. Equipment needs to be started up, checked out. You have to check all the boxes, right,
Hmm.
before you start working on something.
And you would say have realistic durations as well,
Mm-hmm.
and understand what we talked about before, which is you're going to have some early work that needs to be done, but then especially in the healthcare scenario, we're going to have work that has to, we've got to figure out the time and the sequencing to do those vertical return systems.
Definitely, and that's always a challenge, right? Because you have horizontal build out, but then you have vertical systems
Yep.
serving multiple floors. So they they've been very good working with us, understanding our durations, working them into the schedule. That's the biggest thing on a major healthcare project. Understanding that, hey, I can balance this section of exhaust or return, but I still got to come back once everything's open and balance the whole system.
Yep. Yep. How much work have you done in existing facilities? I think you did some for a while, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges that we face with respect to that in, especially existing healthcare facilities?
Well, I think in existing healthcare facilities, oftentimes the owner doesn't know exactly what's there. So it's important to be very thorough with your inspection process, testing process, letting the owner engineer understand the capabilities of their equipment.
Yeah. It's also important, I think, that we evaluate whole systems, because a lot of times we get these small renovation projects where we're only affecting maybe a small portion of a system, a few rooms or one area, but it's part of a larger mechanical system, right? And so in that case, what are the other things that we typically have to do to ensure that, especially in a healthcare environment, that we don't mess anything up?
Yeah, that's a great point because you may have, a build out of one shell space or a change out of one room, but oftentimes there's ducted return systems.
Yep.
You really need to understand the entire system and how it's going to be affected. There's going to need to be adjustments to static pressure set points potentially, and it's important to understand that you have to go a lot further than just.
Yeah, we may have to rebalance existing areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when you have, pressure dependent areas, isolation rooms, pharmacies, that's really where you change one room, you're gonna change them all.
Yeah, yeah. It's not just looking at one area. You're going to have to do a total rebalance of those, especially those types of areas.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So, so Paul, this has been really good. But I got one final question for you.
Okay.
What do you love about EAB?
Oh man, what's not to love about EAB? Honestly, I really love the culture we have here. Um, love all my coworkers. I really admire them, respect them. Um, there's so many challenges working on projects, and it's really comforting knowing, I have a great team of people that have my back no matter what.
Yeah.
Um, everyone here is committed to our core values of the organization, and we're a very prideful organization. We'll do whatever it takes to get the job done.
Sure.